Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a very different video, something that I have never really done before on my channel. I'm very excited to film this. It may become a series on my channel, who knows, but today I'm going to do a review of the Netflix series The Haunting of Hill House. I'm going to do basically just a chit chat video on what I think about the series and also some theories as well at the end. So I will say before I actually get into this video, a massive spoiler alert. When I'm talking about this sort of review of it, I won't be going into too much detail about the actual programme, so you can kind of watch that bit, but towards the end when I talk about the actual theories, I will be talking a lot about things that happen within the series. So I wouldn't really recommend watching that bit if you haven't watched it already, because I will be spoiling things, so don't say I didn't warn you. Yeah. Also, I would like to say a little apology. Basically, the video that I meant to be getting up this week was my topic video on friendships. Now, I've actually filmed that video twice, and I just don't like it. I don't like how I've said some things in it, so basically what I'm going to do is refilm that one again. That will be coming soon, I promise. I just want to kind of get it right and get it the way I want it to be. Sorry, it's really loud sound. I'm just going to shut my window. Hang on. Hope it's a little bit better. Yeah, I wanted it to be the way I want to come across well, that video, so I'm going to refilm it, so that will be coming soon, just not this video. But I really wanted to film this kind of video, so I thought this is what I would do for this week. I hope you don't mind, and yeah, let's get started. Okay, so I think Haunted Hill House came out at the end of last year, I think maybe October time last year. And I'd seen it on Netflix, but I just never really thought it was like my thing to watch. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a massive fan of scary or horror things to watch like that, so I was just like, maybe it's not my cup of tea, and that's why I just didn't really watch it at the time. And then my best friend George actually came down a few weeks ago, and we wanted to like watch something, so she was like, oh my god, you have to watch The Haunted Hill House. And I was like, really? Is it that good? And she was like, yeah, you'll love it. I was thinking, it's not really my sort of thing to watch. She was like, no, watch the first episode. And after the first episode, I'm not going to lie, I was a bit like, not really sure whether this is still my thing. Then I watched the second episode, I was like, okay, I need to watch the rest because it is so good. So basically the premise of this series is, by the way, it's a Netflix series, so if you don't have Netflix you can't watch it, so I'm very sorry, but it is definitely worth it if you do have Netflix, which I'm sure most of you watching this do. Okay, so it is based on the books by Shirley Jackson. I've never read those, so I don't know how true it is. They've probably obviously changed a lot from the books, that kind of normally happens, but that's, I think, where the actual idea came from, and they wanted to make it into a series. Okay, so basically this house called Hill House, obviously, and two parents, Hugh and Olivia, move in to this house with their children, their 5 children, basically to do the whole house up so they can sell it on. And it's a massive house, but as you can probably guess from the title, it is haunted. So you see sort of in the first episode, you see them move in with these 5 children. Now, all 5 children have different aspects about them. They're all very different from each other. Okay, so there are 5 children. So Steve, I'm trying to get this in the right order now. I think it's Steve, Shirley, Theo, and then 2 twins who are Luke and Nellie. So they are the children, and they are all completely different. They have all different personalities, which you sort of see throughout the series. So you see them when they are young, and then basically something happens. So something happens to Olivia, and you see them basically all have to go away from the house. It's all a bit like, oh my god, what's going on? And then you see them, I don't know how many years later it is, but it's when they're all adults. So all the children are adults, and the dad is still there, the dad is still alive, Hugh's still alive, but Olivia died in the house. I don't think that's not a massive spoiler, like you sort of get that gist from watching the first episode anyway. So you then see how the house and Olivia has had an effect on the children when they're older. And lots of different things happen, and it's a very, very interesting story. It's something you really have to watch and concentrate. So that's kind of like the main premise. So you see them when they're older, and it flashes back to when they were younger. So they still have like the younger children, and then you see them as older. And Olivia still appears in it because it's like Hugh's older, but he kind of sees her like in his imagination, so you still sort of see Olivia as well. So yes, basically it is a horror, but it's not like really, really scary. So if you're thinking, I want to watch this but I'm not a massive fan of scary or horror things, then I would think it's perfectly suitable. There's like 1 or 2 jump scares, but apart from that, it is a very good and a very interesting series. As I said, it is something that you really have to concentrate and watch, and there's so many twists and turns, like it's unbelievable. Like I'd watch every episode, and every episode I'd come away thinking, oh my god, I cannot believe that, like kind of changes the whole story. Yes, very interesting. The last episode in particular is like, I literally came away from watching the episode and had to give myself about 20 minutes just to sit there and think about what actually happened, because some of the things in that last episode like kind of all pieced together, and then you sort of suddenly understand what happened. But yes, I'm not going to tell you sort of much more about the actual thing in this sort of review part, because I do kind of want you to watch it, because I think I will spoil it for you if I say anything else in this part. But if you're also someone who likes mystery as well, watching some mystery programs, then I would totally recommend it. It is a quite a dark series. There are obviously deaths in it as well, but yes, I think it's a very, very well played out series, and it's definitely worth taking the time to watch it. So that's my like little review of it. I'm now going to get into the more theory side of it, because this is my favourite part, and the reason why I'm basically making this video is because I was messaging my best friend George when I first watched the first episode with, and I was like, let's show this, like, oh my god, I can't believe this, oh my god, what do you think about this? And there is the second series, and she just went, make a video on it, Beth, just do some theories on it. I was like, do you know what, yes, that's a good idea, I'm going to do that. So at this point I would say to you, if you haven't watched it, then don't watch this part, because there will be like so many spoilers. But overall, go and watch it. It's a great series, and it is quite dark, and you do really have to concentrate on it. Like you can't like sit there on your phone, you have to concentrate. But would totally recommend. Also great actors in it, like amazing actors and actresses. I think that really helped to sort of believe each character they really got into, and like you just believe their story so much. So yes, right, theories. Okay, so the main thing I want to talk about, first of all, I'll talk about Nellie, because I feel like Nellie is one of the main characters, I feel like, in this. Obviously she was the one who also died, and I was so sad when that happened. When that episode happened, I was like, and you find out that she was actually the Bent Net lady, I was like, oh my god, like, it really kind of like upset me. I was just like, god, she obviously the Bent Net lady was the one who, like, that was like her ghost. She would always see the Bent Net lady in her house. So when it actually turned out that she was the Bent Net lady, because she hung herself, obviously bent neck, horrible, absolutely horrible. But it was one of the things that I was most shocked about. I was like, oh my god. And then when you sort of watch back where she sees the bent neck lady, it kind of does make sense. Quite often you kind of have to rewatch things to be able to understand them afterwards. You know what I mean? So yeah, so when they were talking about it was Nellie, and I feel like the last episode I was a bit confused with, when she sort of like came back almost when they were all at the house. I do actually believe that was her. Like, I believe she was trying to say to everyone, like, look, it's fine, you know, and they were sort of all made up. I thought that was actually her, and I think she did want to make up with everyone and make sure everyone was okay. So I do believe that was Nellie. And not just sort of in their imagination, if that makes sense. I mean, look, obviously, you know, there's ghosts, there's paranormal. You know, if you don't believe in that kind of thing, then this isn't going to make much sense to you. But for someone who does believe in the paranormal, I think it actually was Nellie. And little things like, I believe it was Olivia who was like, for example, putting the buttons on Nellie when she was in her casket. I think that was Olivia, and I think Olivia's always been looking out. Now that kind of leads me on to speak about, like, for example, Olivia and Nellie's death weren't actually, like, they didn't commit suicide. For example, Olivia was basically pushed, I reckon, off the banister by what's her name, Poppy, and I do actually believe that she didn't want to. Poppy was manipulating her. I think in those last few weeks that they were in her house for, I think Poppy had been manipulating Olivia and basically saying that the best place for her was to die, and I suppose Olivia just started to believe that, and then that's why she fell. I think same thing with Nellie, when Olivia basically kind of forced her, I suppose, to commit suicide, to hang herself, but she was doing that in a place of love, because she thought that, again, the best place for her to be safe was when she was dead. So she truly believed that, and that, I think, is what made Nellie die. If Nellie hadn't gone back to the house, she wouldn't have died. But then in the same place, I'm just like, well, because she was the Bennett lady, that was kind of, I suppose, the way she was always going to die. Very interesting, very, like, I loved, like, looking into that and, like, thinking, like, the house did kill them. Like, there's no other way of saying, like, the house killed them. A theory I'd been thinking about was the kind of black mould. Some people believe that there wasn't actually any ghosts at all in that house. It was all just in their imagination, and for example, black mould can have an effect on your health, and it can lead to problems, and it can lead to, like, hallucinations and things like that. So was it all in their minds? Did none of this actually exist? Who knows? I don't really believe that theory, if I'm being honest. I do think it is all paranormal, but could be an interesting theory, because I feel like that black mould story was never really resolved. I feel like nothing really kind of came out of that. What do you think? I don't know. I'm really looking forward to the second series, and I really hope they kind of focus more on, for example, Poppy. Like, she obviously had a lot of issues because she was telling Olivia all these different things. I would love to know more about her and what actually happened to the Hills, basically. I would like to know all their background. We sort of got a little bit of background, but not that much really in detail, because I think there was a lot of interesting things that happened with them. I loved watching back. I watched some of the episodes twice afterwards, because I wanted to, you can basically see, like, kind of secret ghosts in the background of shots, and I think that's such an interesting thing, because I wouldn't have noticed that the first time I watched it, but you can the second time, and just like little things that kind of makes it a bit creepier actually when you watch it for the second time, because you're like, oh my god, I didn't even notice that. Okay, next theory I want to talk about is the Red Room. This was something I was very confused about when I finished watching it, because I was like, okay, so that means the Red Room basically never really existed. Like, it wasn't actually a proper room. The Red Room was different for everyone in that house. So for Luke, for example, it was his tree house. For Theo, it was her dance room. For Olivia, it was her reading room, etc, etc. So it was kind of like, I suppose, all in their mind. Like, that's what I was confused about. I was like, was it actually a room and it, like, changed for everyone? Or was it just in their minds? I think it was just in their minds. It was just this room, but they all imagined it as different rooms for different people. It was something that did confuse me though a lot at the end. I was like, okay, so that obviously wasn't actually like a room, and each room that it was, there was always something red in it, which I suppose made the Red Room, which comes on to the kind of theory I want to talk about was at the end of the last episode, when they talk about when they were all sort of in that one room together, at the end when they have the cake, there's red on that cake and I love it too. Does that mean that Luke actually never survived? Did he die in that house? When I was initially watching it, I did think he did die. Like, that was my thought. I thought, oh, he died in that. I know obviously Hugh died as well in the house, but I do think, I have a feeling Luke didn't survive. I know it's bad, but I just have a feeling he didn't survive, and that cake symbolised that. That's just my theory. Who knows, might not actually be true. But yes, I don't think he actually survived. And also obviously that red room, like when we see when Luke kind of did die when he was in that house at the end, and he sort of like, I suppose it was like a hallucination, when he was in that red room with Olivia, his mum, Nell, but little Nell, and I think was Abigail in there as well? She probably was. And Olivia was saying basically die and go and be with her, but then Nell was like no, survive basically. I thought that was very interesting because obviously that was the red room, and the red room also was where obviously Abigail died. That was another thing. I couldn't believe Abigail was an actual person. I always thought she was just a ghost, but no, she was an actual person. I thought that was really, really sad. That I found it so weird, like Olivia killed her. Obviously I don't think she was clearly not in her right mind, but I just found that really fascinating. I was like, oh my god, like Olivia killed like her. And Olivia obviously seems, especially in the beginning, this very, very, very innocent person. So yeah, I don't think Luke survived. That's my opinion. I love how they did it. So the 5 children represented the 5 stages of grief. I think that was very, very, very clever, and that was one of my favourite parts actually, was watching each child when they were younger and when they were growing up, to see like how different actually all of them were, and how they did deal with grief in all different ways, because they did. And yeah, I think my favourite character personally is Theo. I don't know why, for some reason she's always just been my favourite character. I think Nell is also one of my favourite characters because I think she was probably the most affected. I think obviously to be able to go back to that house, she was very affected by what happened to her mum, for example. And I do think that if she hadn't have gone back, obviously she wouldn't have died, but I think it would have happened at some point because, as I said, she was the burnt net lady. I think that's kind of like the main theories I wanted to cover. Was I loved how everyone used the stage of grief. Don't think Luke survived because of the red cake situation. I would like to know about the red room more because I was still very confused by that situation. Love to know more about the hills, hopefully in the second series, because I think that will kind of provide us more information about why the house was so evil, basically. And yeah, also people I've seen, I did a little bit of Googling afterwards, and people were saying who was the second body that they found in the house. Which I think was William Hill. You know, they found the skeleton in the basement. I think that was what they were talking about with the second body, when basically they were questioning Hugh on when Olivia died. That's also something that was never really actually cleared up. Like, did Hugh get off? Like, was he charged with anything? Like, we don't actually know what kind of happened in that situation, but they said, what about the second body? I think the second body was William Hill, the one Hugh found in the basement. I think that's what I kind of took from it anyway. But yeah, I cannot wait for the second series. I just loved it so much. I keep recommending to people, I'm like, please, please, please watch Haunted House, because I think it's so good, it's so interesting, and I think it's a very good watch. Yeah, that's kind of it really. I just wanted to basically have a little chat, a little discussion about this. If you've watched it, then please leave in the comments any of your theories. If you have any more theories, then I'd love to know them. Two biggest shocks were Bennett and Lady and Abigail for me. They were two things that I was like, what? When I watched it. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. I cannot wait for the second series. And yeah, so this is obviously something a bit different for me. I never normally do videos like this, but just want to have a little chat with you. And yeah, if you'd like more on these kind of things, any other series any other series on Netflix, I just finished watching Afterlife by Ricky Gervais, which oh my god, that is one of the best series I've watched in a long time. So if you would like to do any sort of videos or anything on that, then let me know. And yeah, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Leave a comment below, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Oh my god, my head's gone today. I love you all lots, and I'll see you all in my next video. Okay, I cannot speak. I will see you all in my next video. That's a love. Bye.